Now, it may seem really basic, but the health system in Escape from Tarkov is actually very different than in most shooters. Furthermore, there are stats that influence the performance of your character, and why you can get some body parts destroyed and still live, and with others you don't. And why sometimes shooting the legs is actually the best choice. So let's have a look. So, first off, that is your character. You have 7 body parts: head, thorax, stomach, arms and legs. Each body part has a different amount of hit points and a different death effect. The head, when destroyed, means actual death. Same with the thorax. Something I almost forgot, you only die when the body parts get destroyed from outside. You don't die when the head or thorax gets destroyed from bleeding or dehydration. But when they have 0 hit points, then stay away from barbed wire, because any more damage will actually kill you. So it makes sense to protect those 2 parts especially. But the stomach is different. When destroyed, you actually don't die, but instead you suffer from dehydration and energy loss. Furthermore, if the destroyed part continues to take damage, meaning you get shot again, it distributes the damage to the whole body with the factor applied. Don't quote me on the number, as they can change, but it's more than 1. So, in order to demonstrate that, I sacrifice myself for the purpose. My friend here is going to shoot bullet per bullet into my stomach, and as you can see, the first bullet deals exactly 60 damage. But then the bullets start dealing more damage, and they deal around 70-80 damage. And it gets distributed to the whole body equally, considering percentage of the max hit points each part has. That continues until you dead. That's the concept I wanted to get across here. Of course, if questions arise, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. Back to the body parts. The arms, when destroyed, you actually suffer from shaking, so aiming becomes pretty bad and everything you do with arms is slowed down. The factor here is way less than the stomach. And last we have legs. When those get destroyed, you are slowed down, 35% per leg. Can't jump, can't run, or well, you can, but you take a lot of damage. The factor here is 1.0. So now, knowing what we know, what can we learn from it? The first thing, of course, the areas that you want to protect most are the thorax and the head. Because, as we have seen, when they reach 0, you're actually dead. So let's say we use an armor that our enemy can't penetrate. So instead of shooting our thorax, he has to shoot our arm, leg or stomach. So he has to go through way more hit points than if he could penetrate our thorax. But let's say it's the other way around. So our enemy has an armor that we can't penetrate. In this case, there are bullets available that are built for exactly that. For example, the rip ammo. That thing deals 102 damage and causes fractures 100% of the time. So if you shoot those things into somebody's legs after 5 bullets, he drops. Doesn't matter what armor he was wearing. And furthermore, even if you lose the fight, that guy is gonna have dead and broken legs, so he's gonna love you for that. Last, always heal the head and thorax first, as you wanna have as much hit points on those as you can, otherwise you risk dying. And let's quickly go over the injuries that can happen to you. First on the list is bleeding, and that is pretty bad. You lose a lot of health, 30 per minute per limb that is bleeding. So quickly use a bandage, evac or something to stop that as soon as you have a moment to spare. After you have bandaged it successfully, you have a fresh wound. That stays for 4 minutes and it can open again if you take damage or sprint too much. So stay low if you're low on bandages, right? Then we have fractures. And this can be treated using splints, then the effect is gone, or use painkillers that just ignores the effect for now. But if you run or jump, you take damage and make a lot of noise, because the character isn't Robocop. The effect the fracture has are the same ones if it was dead, and we just looked at them before. Last one is pain, and that occurs if you have a fracture or suffer from dehydration, or basically anything that is painful, or at least more painful than being in Tarkov itself. There is also the option to revive dead body parts using a CMS or survival kit, but that's kinda too much for this video. I'll cover that in another one. And in Tarkov, you even have to look after your character in terms of food and drinks as if you were playing Sims. Otherwise, you suffer, for example, from dehydration. Your vision changes as if you were actually in pain, and after a while you even start losing health, and that can be pretty bad. With energy loss, it starts off not that bad, you just become slower, but after a time you also start to lose health. But usually you find items in raids that stop you from dehydration and starving. But it makes sense to grab a Snickers from time to time. And that's already it. I hope this helps to understand the health system in Tarkov. If any questions arise, as always, just leave them in the comments. I'm happy to help. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, and good luck in Tarkov. See you next time. Bye bye.